Hell. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Royal Sussex Live. Welcome, one and all. Okay, gonna go all the way to the very top to see who was here first. BD 140s. Okay, thank you so much for being here. Emerald Derek, Judy Mutasid, Lorna Williams, Nikki Guguana, Lydia Washington, Auntie Jane, Lady T, Novi D, Emma D. Why is everything rhyming? Um, did somebody roofie me or what? Leisha, Lorna Williams, Annie Bullard, Ingrid Soares. Oh, by the way, Ingrid, when you post in the comments, try to avoid using so many characters and hashtags because there's something new on the YouTube and it kicks your comments out and they only show up because I have to manually put them back in. So um, using all of the emojis and the hashtags that will cause your comments to be kicked out automatically. Also, if you all are adding links to the comments, that is another thing that changed is that YouTube is withholding the links in the comment section. So unless I see them and manually put them back, then they won't go in. So just so you know that any special characters or any links that you put in the comments, they get kicked right back out. So um, just so you know it. But okay, so that was that. I'm glad I remembered to mention it. Oh, let me bring my slide up. Okay. Let's see. Lydia Washington is here. Sonia Johnson wants to say hi to a few people. Um, Peach Rose, Annie Bullard, Lola Love, Emerald Derek. Oh, okay. I think I'm repeating myself, right? S is here. Um, okay. Eulebia is here. All right. I'm just going to go all the way to the last, making sure I don't miss any super chat, super stickers, or memberships. I don't think I did. Okay. All right. I think we're good. Hello, Caroline. You're the last one in tonight. Thank you. Sussex Team Warrior. And who else is here? Cass Sterling, Lavender. Let me see here. Hope everyone is taking care of their mental health. The British tabloids will never stop hating, especially on Meghan. Not all of their lies are worth fighting. I'll say amen to that one. It is definitely not. Um, well, so you see, she found out. Afua Hagen, journalist and royal commentator. She weighed in on the topic that's been circulating for the past couple of days. And I remember as soon as Dianne Feinstein passed away, I had actually messaged someone to say, here we go, hold your breath, it's about to happen. And so I waited. And it did not take long before they started the nonsense. And it is, just the way things are. There's not much that we can do about it, but we can, um, you know, um, speak truth and to counter those narratives whenever possible. So yesterday, when we discussed it. Like I said, it's excuse me, it's fun to think about, but it's not going to happen. And I always look at the Sussexes as honoring their position as Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Harry still believes in the monarchy. Meghan believes in her husband. I don't know how she feels about the monarchy at this point, but Meghan is a team player and she will definitely do what is best for her family, what is best for her husband, what is best for her children and for her mom. Um, she is not this big rebel that the royal family tried to paint her out to be. However, she does have principles and she fights for truth and she stands in her truth. And there are certain things that she is not going to compromise. Like any of us, she has her limits and she has little ones. And I'm just going to go through a couple of things that I just want to stress, which I mentioned yesterday. Yes, we had fun with the topic, but there are people in the party called Democrat in California. When it comes to states, it is not only the largest in terms of population, it is the wealthiest in terms of industry, business, personal wealth, real estate, all of those things. It's the wealthiest. It is one of the largest economies in the world. If it was a nation unto itself, it would be in fourth or fifth place in terms of the global economy. It's is as wealthy or wealthier than most nations on earth. So that is California. Our defense industry, Silicon Valley, where a lot of the electronics and such come from. A lot of the media companies are based out there, and they have a reach that is global. So um, there are people who have been in politics all their lives, and it would cause so much animosity if a governor said, "Well, you know what? That person has name recognition. Um, why don't we just do that?" That does not happen. There are people who have worked their way up. Um, Donald Trump was campaigning for president for at least 10 years, maybe longer. He was talking about presidency back in the 1980s, and people believed his nonsense. Yes, he had never run for public office before, but he made those very large contributions to both parties. He dealt with a lot of politicians in his life, so it wasn't like he was a complete novice. And of course, a lot of people owed him, right? So even Donald Trump had some role in politics. Hillary Clinton, she didn't just run on her name. Yes, she was appointed to a seat, but she won it outright the very next election, and she was very much respected in the state of New York. Even some of the people who thought she was, just grifting from her name, she left the state of New York very well respected, liberal, conservative. My point is, she did the work. Everybody has to pay their dues. Nobody just steps in on namesake. And one of the more important things is you gotta raise money. You got to raise money. You have to be a key player and raise money for that party. Otherwise, you're a nobody. So it's not going to happen. This is a bunch of nonsense. This is only clickbait. It's only clickbait. It is something to cause division. It's a way to use black women just as they're using a lot of other people in the socioeconomic stratosphere. They're using a lot of people to push this culture war. And unfortunately, Meghan is caught up in the middle of this culture war. Coke or Pepsi, just think Coke or Pepsi, is a situation where everybody wants you to decide, do you prefer Coke or do you prefer Pepsi? And I hate to limit things to that type of thing, comparing soft drinks, but it's true. People like simple choices. Coke or Pepsi, right? Democrat, Republican. It's all tribalism. The morning television is nothing more than theater. Anytime you see a panel of people, they are not there to discover the unknown. They are not there to move the dial. They are not there to inform as much as they are there to indoctrinate you with their principles, with their truths. And I'm just, going to say it. Some people do not really pay attention to when they are being brainwashed, to when they are being subject to someone else's thoughts and opinions. They don't look further to question, why is this person here in a television studio talking about this topic, which you can tell they don't know much about, especially this journalist. Either she was pretending to be ignorant of what I just said about California, about the Democrat Party, about a very small lesson in civics. Um, Either she doesn't know, or she's just there to help them carry the tune, right? And even though she is resistant to a good translucent powder, which is one of the things that I think everyone should have on television, but that ain't none of my business. My business is the Duchess of Sussex. And so I'm not going to, come for her. I think she's been through a lot. Now, what you don't know, or maybe you have heard it, she managed to get in touch with a squatty and cry about how vicious people were, making comments about her weight, about her skin tone, and a few other things. Well, that is jarring. It is upsetting, but we don't know that the people that sent her the message was a squatty. We don't know. Um, and as far as that's concerned, I don't even know that that happened. We're just taking her word for it. Now, the squatty that she spoke to was very upset. Apparently, she has spoken to people in the Sussex squad before. But just like with Omid Scobie, you all have reminded me, he's still a journalist. She is a journalist. They're all journalists. And trust and believe, when you said that, it resonated with me because I know it to be true. I am naturally suspicious of most things that I hear. I may not seem like it, but I am somewhat suspicious. I like to know why a person has come to a conclusion. I like to know how things are made. I want to know why a person pursues a point of view. That is just in my nature. So I appreciate, people saying, "Oh, you better watch out for so and so." Trust me, I'm watching. I've been a black man in America for a long time. I watch. I notice. I listen to words and I question intent. And so, same goes with this young lady. She apparently has talked to squatties before. And then when she got roasted today, she was crying like a rat eating onions because she felt hurt and wounded by people shouting down to her like that. Again, I'm assuming that she's honest when she says it happened. I don't know. Um, Again, I don't even know if it was a squatty if it did happen. There's a lot of people that pretend to be the Sussex squad. That has happened before. And then also, you have to consider exactly what was said and how it was said. Now, I had a sound bite all prepared for you, and guess what? It's gone. It's gone. As a matter of fact, you can't find this anywhere. Um, it's gone for obvious reasons. It's gone. Not only were they letting her have it, but GB News, I'm sorry, Good Morning Britain, they they were getting the business in of the buggy whip, not only from people in the Sussex squad, not only for people that support Meghan, but just people that are fed up with their nonsense. And there's more of that is going on. These people in this right wing media, they are struggling over a pie that is shrinking. There's there's not enough to sustain everyone, and so they need these types of clickbaits so that they can struggle for that pie. So I'm gonna get to that again very soon, but I didn't even mean to go into that much of this while I'm just sitting here looking at the slide for the thumbnail. But so yeah, good morning, Britain, little Harry and Meghan stuff, and of course Trump's burden. Lex says, "Is this a deflection from W's backlash from the let me see Williams backlash from MAGA?" Uh, okay, I think you're saying Williams from backlash from MAGA. Um, if you mean, okay, I'm not sure what that means. A deflection from W's backlash from MAGA. A deflection. Yeah, I'm not sure what that means. Please refresh my tea. Thank you so much for the super chat. All right. Daytime, nighttime, talk show, mainstream news media are damaging. That's why I don't watch either. Very wise, very wise. Okay, I'm just gonna scroll through and clicked and they got clicked and baited. You could say that again. You could say that again. Check and double check. So it is Black History Month in the United Kingdom, and because of William's new role as the Prince of Wales, because of the sentiment of the public starting to, I guess, sink where the royal family is concerned, that there is going to be, I'm predicting, an all out, desperate outreach to the Black community in Britain. They're going to do everything but go to the Commonwealth, which is alarming at this point. I'm very concerned about that. Not that I feel bad that they're not doing it, but I feel like they're hiding something. I don't know if they're hiding some very weak polls. Like we know that politicians take polls, and we also know that the royal family are definitely paying attention to the polls. I recall on the day when Princess Diana was married to uh, Chuck, that one thing that they were saying, over and over again, because you got to fill up that time with chatter. I believe it was Peter Jennings and Barbara Walters that covered the wedding. They kept saying over and over again that there was a poll and the public unanimously wants to keep the royal family. And that was just part of the generic conversation that revolved around this, uh, I guess, the Americans looking into a fairy tale wedding. It is a curiosity to us Americans. It really is a curiosity. It is a novelty. It is like a shiny object that you gravitate to and you look at it and you say, that's very interesting. And then you put it down and move on, right? It starts collecting dust. It's got your fingerprints all over it. You move on. And that is how Americans look at the royal family. We don't particularly want it, but it is interesting. And I was hooked because of Princess Diana. All those years ago, I was hooked. And then of course, that all dissipated. And along comes Meghan, and then I came back. And that is the size of it. Yeah, there's not that many people who are there for Will and Kate. Even the American television at the time was disappointed by the lack of enthusiasm for that royal wedding. So, okay, let me move on. And was Dan Wooten catfishing? Was he catfishing? Well, yeah, according to Byline News. Marcy Foreman, 6 months. Love you, Baron. Kate better not show up tomorrow in that tired white suit. I'm just saying, I hope Meghan go outside tomorrow. Are they going to Cardiff tomorrow for the where is she going to show up tomorrow? I'm confused. I know they do have something scheduled for Cardiff. Oh, and by the way, MR, thank you so much for the Cash App. So, yeah, I know they have something scheduled for tomorrow, but I don't know what it is. Let me see here. Oh, MAGA went after William when he came over for the Earth Flop in New York City. They didn't like that he was with Bill Gates or Bloomberg. Really? Okay, I didn't know that. Now that part of it I missed. Gee, I wonder why. Because let me see, Bloomberg, he's a Republican, right? And Bill Gates, I don't know what his party affiliation is, but I even saw, was it Russell Myers? Russell wears his other ear Myers. I actually, did I see a tweet where even Russell Myers was saying that Williams' trip to New York was pretty lackluster? It did not make a lot of sense to most people. Now, that much I'm aware of, but I didn't know that the MAGA people were just like, asking questions. But that is interesting. I'm going to have to look into that because I love the notion of it. I am going to look into that. Thank you so much. Did not realize that was a thing. But I'm here for it. Thank you. And thank you again. All right. So let us move on. Let's see, but they can't take a minute. Maria M says, Baron, it's funny how these journalists throw so much nonsense at Meghan, but they can't take a minute in Meghan's shoes. I don't feel sorry for her. She should have known better. Well, you know what? Apropos of that, let me go ahead and find that. Let me give you a good example, because that was a thing some time ago, and is that it or is that it? Okay, I'm gonna try this one.
Fired on from all directions. Every time you open your phone, he's there. Every time you turn on your computer, he's there. And you know that what he's doing is he's adjusting or despoiling your digital self. Now, you may say, well, it doesn't matter, you just come offline. But the fact is that, we live 70, 80, 90 years, but our digital presence goes on forever. And you can see yourself being dismantled. And you can't see it ending.
The judge actually said when he sentenced Belfield, you didn't meet or physically approach or watch any of your victims as a traditional stalker might have done. Your methods were, however, just as effective as a way of intimidating your victims and were in many ways much harder to deal with.
The danger came from the online traffic, not from the individual. I would have done anything to meet this guy and have a conversation with him face to face. He wouldn't have been threatening. He was probably a coward. But what he wanted to do was create so much hatred against me that someone acted by proxy. I'm absolutely certain that he knows, with 400,000 people watching those videos, that at some point someone is going to take a knife or acid to my home. Or the other thing is, he gets one of his victims to take their own life. We heard about someone trying exactly that in the court case, one of the victims. Two of them described themselves as becoming suicidal. That is not to be taken lightly. I think if the courts hadn't stopped Alex Belfield, somebody would have died.
Someone who stalks in person, we imagine to be hiding in the shadows. But what Alex Belfield and his army of followers was doing was in plain sight. Everyone could see it on Twitter and YouTube.
It's extraordinary. And I think there's a business model here, and this case has broken it, which is great news for everyone. But the original business model was started by Alex Jones in the USA, and it's basically selling massive amounts of misinformation on the basis that often lies are more interesting than truth.
Alex Jones is the man who said the Sandy Hook shooting did not happen.
That's right.
And was recently sued for libel by the parents of one of the children who was killed.
Correct. So you create a market for lies.
Oh, you know what? I forgot. I had the microphone off. Okay, so I'll just repeat that again. Yeah, I wasn't implying that the polls from back then are relevant now. The point I was making is that that was when I found out that they were dependent upon those polls to justify their positions, and the polls were very important to them then, and it seems to be important to them now. And not a lot has changed, except the fact that the poll numbers nowadays are um, much less than what it was back then, but still they hold a majority, no matter how slim. There's still a majority of people who would rather have a monarchy than not. And Donald Trump has been one of the best salesmen for the idea of avoiding a elected head of state amongst people in the UK. All they have to say is, "What do you want, a Donald Trump?" And that just kind of takes that notion away for people who were kind of on the fence about it. Yeah, that's enough to solidify them to keeping the royal family, the monarchy. Uh, and then what was the other comment that I was going to make? Yes, so projection, deflection, and competence. Uh, what is that? That word. And that's morning talk shows. The very much not racist royals are just looking to distract from the royal failings, drop, leak every story to see what sticks. Yeah. I think it serves more than just a couple of purposes to have that conversation about Meghan, or any other conversation about Meghan. Hello, BS Speaks Royally. Everyone in the chat, quick pop in to say hello and good night. Well, good night to you too. Thank you so much for stopping in with us. Let me see. I predict a tartan plaid short suit for tomorrow visit to Cardiff. Those photos were seeing could not cook a Karen for reals and are the Photoshop. Okay. Marshall says people are saying that MAGA people would side with those royals. I always disagree with that because MAGA nuts are totally about their America and their orange overlord. I think that is probably older women that are excited about the royal family, that identify with the queen and that sense of duty and such. But I think that a um, a feminist woman, even if she's conservative, um, and of course younger people that don't see any type of connection to Will and Kate, and just to be very superficial about it, they don't inspire a lot. They don't inspire people. It's just evident they don't inspire a lot. Um, that's it. They don't. For whatever reason, they just don't inspire a lot. That has been a constant problem for them. Yes, it is true that Kate does get a lot of attention for her clothes, for being a fairy tale princess and such. That is never going to go out of fashion. But as an individual, as someone to look up to, as someone to motivate, especially a career orientated woman, they don't look to Kate. They just don't, which is why you see the power suits and the binders and the hair pulled back, the hair pulled up, the big loose curls, the hair extensions. This is why you see that, is because they're trying to connect pretty much to Barbie. I remember when she was wearing all that pink around the time that the Barbie movie was trending. And that was by design. And now that the Barbie movie has come and gone, where's all the pink clothes? Where's the pink suit, the pink dress, the pink headbands or whatever? Where's any of that stuff? It is gone. That was calculated because they are trying to connect to young women, to career orientated, independent women. And she's just not that person. She's never had a career. Her career starts and ends with the royal household. Never a real career. Unless you want to consider working a clothing store on the high street or working for the family business. Okay, that's a career. Let me see. Okay, let me continue. So, police investigating allegations Dan Wooten solicited explicit images. The GB News presenter Dan Wooten is under investigation by police as a result of allegations that were made against him earlier this year. So, am I correct when I say I thought the police were not looking into anything? Am I correct about that? Do you recall that they weren't looking into it? That it seemed as though that nothing was going to happen? Let me play the short video that I have. Let me play the short video. Nope, that's not it. That's not it. That's something else. I think this is it. GB News scandal hit star presenter Dan Wooten is tonight at the center of a Metropolitan Police probe after a 3-year investigation by Byline Times. It can be exclusively revealed. Detectives from the complex investigation team of the force's Central Specialist Crime Division are looking into serious allegations relating to the obtaining of intimate content by deception and blackmail. A Met Police spokesperson told this newspaper In June 2023, the Metropolitan Police was contacted with regards to allegations of sexual offenses committed by a man aged in his 40s. Officers assessed all information available to establish whether any criminal offense has taken place. We can confirm that an investigation has now commenced into these allegations. Detectives will continue to liaise with the complainant to establish the circumstances. There has been no arrest and inquiries continue. Byline Times journalists handed a 28-page dossier of evidence to the Met Police on the 20th of June. On the 12th of July, criminal claims started to emerge on social media, with posts rapidly attracting more than 18 million views. On the 27th of July, Byline Times started publishing a series of stories examining 40-year-old New Zealander Wooten's personal and professional conduct. It is understood that detectives are currently focused on allegations that Wooten staged a 10-year-long campaign to catfish his men using the online alias of Martin Branning to persuade them to film intimate content, which was then, in at least one case, allegedly used for blackmail. It follows the announcement of separate investigations by Wooten's former employers, News UK, where he was a long-standing senior editor between 2013 and 2021, and DMG Media, the publisher of Mail Online. Wooten was sacked last Thursday from his twice-weekly Mail Online column, for which he was paid £250,000 a year, following his part in a misogynistic rant in which Lawrence Fox denigrated journalist Ava Evans on his GB News show Dan Wooten Tonight. Questions about Wooten, who was suspended by GB News after the misogyny storm last Thursday, 2.5 months after this newspaper started publishing allegations about his conduct, have also been raised by the House of Commons Culture, Media, and Sport Committee. GB News Chief Executive Angelos Frangopoulos confirmed to the committee that the station is monitoring events as Wooten remains off-air. Okay, so now if you all looked at that longer video that I shared, it's like 30 minutes. Apparently, when remember when everything first hit the fan and Wooten took a couple of days, or was it just one day away from the studio? He didn't work that day. And they said that during the commercial break, I think it was a commercial break, that he kind of fell to pieces away from the camera. And then they even went on to say that all of a sudden he started bringing snacks to work for everyone, and that he was in this mood. He had this spirit of camaraderie with people at GB News, people who, if you ask quite a few of them, it appears that they would be more than happy to see the back of him walking out of the door, and that they're glad that he's not there. There were some serious journalists that wanted to go in a different direction, and one by one they started jumping ship because of Dan Wooten, according to the Byline Investigate. So that 30-minute video is worth checking out, because I was just like, wow, it's like you think you've heard it all, but trust me, you haven't. This is the one. Is this one it? Yeah, police investigation. Dan Wooten over allegations of a 10-year catfishing campaign following Byline Times special investigation. So, do I have a... Okay, that's the short video. Has the other shoe dropped? And that is the longer one right there. The GB News Access Dan Wooten. That's the one you ought to look for. It's like 30 minutes, but it's 30 minutes well spent. It will confirm. Connie Bowmer! Hey, Connie Bowmer. It will confirm a lot of things that you have suspected, and even tell you a few things that you don't know. Carol, thank you so much for the super sticker, and thank you for watching Royal Sussex. Happy Monday or Tuesday. Let me see. Lorna Williams said, oh, that's for someone else. I'm sorry about that. Okay, let us continue then. So now, I'm not sure what to make of this. This is from someone that calls themselves Paul Belgium. And it says, you are undoubtedly aware there is an ongoing and intense dispute regarding the abhorrent conduct exhibited by the Prince and Princess of Sussex toward our esteemed royal family. And I guess that means Harry and Meghan. Do you have a? I do not have long due to advanced stage 4 cancer, so I implore you to address the matter concerning Harry and Meghan. This vehement conflict is inflicting widespread harm upon thousands of individuals, and it's occurring under your reign as king. The battle transpires between the supporters of the Sussexes and the loyal adherents of the British monarchy. Okay, and the let me see. Although we may witness physical projectiles like, I don't even want to say that word, but weapons being launched, and acrimonious war fueled by animosity is being waged, and only you possess the ability to bring it to an end. Yes, apologize to your son and call off the media. It's just that simple. Stop the leaking, right? Apologize to your son and your daughter-in-law, of course, first and foremost, because that is what Harry wants. And stop the leaks. Stop the media from going after them. Yeah, and remove any questions about their future in the family, their future role in the family. It would be just that simple. Charles leaves a lot of things open ended, and he can be very indecisive at times, much to his own detriment. He can be very indecisive, very wishy washy. And also, the whole rollout of, oh, she's not a consort, that's Queen Camilla. Or even before that, she won't be called queen. She'll be called what was it, royal princess or whatever the role. She was not supposed to ever be known as queen, but that is something that they pulled on Ascension Day when the queen celebrated her 70 years on the throne, 70 years since her father had died and she became queen. That is when they issued that statement, allegedly from the queen, saying to call Camilla queen. Before that, there was never that intention. So I don't know that this is a real thing. I don't know if this is, I don't know what it is. But while it may resemble the 1743 Battle of Dittingen, led by King George II, you undoubtedly possess the unwavering support of your dedicated royal servants. We require your exemplification of leadership as you safeguard the esteemed reputation of the British monarchy that was painstakingly constructed by your late mother, our beloved Queen, by demonstrating yourself as a commander-in-chief, and bring their appalling behavior to an end now. What's he supposed to do? That's what I'm trying to figure out. I have the honor to be, sir, your majesty, humble and obedient servant. Did Charles write this? If you like the letter, please join me and follow me so my correspondence has greater power. All followers are followed back. Well, I don't know about you, but that sounds and like a brown nose or a licked boot or something. But that is the most boot licking statement I've heard in a long time. I don't know what that's supposed to be, but it, it it's not even amusing. S, thank you so much for the sticker, and thank you so much for watching Royal Sussex. Yeah, right. Abhorrent conduct of the Sussexes when vile, vicious, mean spirited William, vindictive William, who doesn't seem to have good control over Kensington Palace, or is it all under his control and he has given license to the people that work for him, that works for the royal family? It's as though he's given license to them to go on the attack. That's what I believe, is that there was an atmosphere, an environment of hostility at Kensington Palace. And because of his consent, whether implied or official or whatever the case may be, then people acted out aggressively toward the Sussexes. And any pushback that they received was likely well deserved. I don't care what the circumstances are. You taking the side of the help, and that's all those people are, is the help over your brother and your sister-in-law. When is that ever okay? You took the side of the help. Now, whether the help did something or not, you still took the side of the help. You're always going to have your brother. Well, even if you're not talking to him, they're still your brother. But the help, they are there to advance their career. They are there to secure a financial future for their families. Um, they're there for a lot of reasons, but they're still just that, the help. Let me see. Shadow's mom, super sticker. Thank you very much for the super sticker. And thank you for watching Royal Sussex. Ah, what a cute canine. Is that a Yorkie? That looks like a Yorkie, right? I could barely tell. Hey, Anastasia. All right, moving on. So, Afua Hagen, Connie Balmer, thank you for being a member, and thank you for the super sticker. And happy October to you. Happy October's let me see. This is the third for you and still the second for me. But yeah, thank you very much. So, this was the stage today. Now, as I said, I had a sound bite that I was going to play, and it's gone. I could just kick myself for not saving it. I have learned my lesson. I should have learned when I couldn't find mute woman, although I did have it someplace else, but I couldn't find it because they took it away. So if you look at the bio or the heading on the Twitter, it says award-winning journalist and broadcaster, CTV News, Talk TV, BBC, ITV, CNN, and the let's see, what is that? The Brit Blacklist patron, Ivy Street writer, and Mama. Views are my own. Are they? Are they your own? Well, as you can see, after much uh, incoming messages and people being quite confrontational with her, she decided that, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do that. She decided that it made sense to, sorry about that. Did I do it again? There we go. She decided that it was better to just block her account. So everybody's blocked. save for a few, I suppose, but everybody's blocked. As I said earlier, it seems as though she was able to get in contact with a squatty. She was in tears. She was very upset. People made comment about her appearance, about her weight, and so on and so forth. Where that is concerned, there's a lot of people. There is an Oprah Winfrey, a Serena Williams. There are a lot of people that go on television, that perform in front of the public, that speak on television. Um, let's just say Whoopi Goldberg. These are women that are, you know, have their own dimensions that don't necessarily fit into a Madison Avenue shop window mannequin. I mean, Oprah's struggled with her weight for some time. Serena is a very large athletic person. Um, and there's always Michelle Obama. All of everyone on television. Now, those are the people that have really been bullied on television for their appearance. And if it wasn't for the fact that they were on television, you would see them someplace and say, "Oh, what an elegant woman! What a handsome woman! What an attractive woman!" But because they're on television next to someone who is, starving themselves to the extent or dieting or whatever they're doing to stay a certain size so that they can be marketable on television. Not everyone can do that. Not everybody wants to do that. Most people just want to be healthy. And most people are not a Madison Avenue type of person, which of course is a way to say that you wear like a size 5 or whatever. That's not most people's story. Real women are not shaped like that. And then when you're on television, if you don't have that look, you are subject to criticism, you are subject to bullying and such. And so, even without the comments that were said today, or should I say, the her appearance on that show, what happened to her to some degree or another, I'm sure it has happened before. I'm sure it will happen again. Ngozi Fulani, there have been criticisms made about her appearance. A matter of fact, her appearance is what caused the problem for her at Buckingham Palace at that reception because she was not dressed like everyone else. She wasn't wearing like the business casual. She was identifying with her roots, with her ethnicity. And that seems to have drawn some type of, well, I won't say criticism, but it's singled her out, is what I'm saying. So that could have happened anyway. And I don't want to just say that to downplay what she says happened to her. If she says it happened, absent any other thing that I could possibly say, then perhaps she's telling the truth. It's just, it seemed very convenient that after you had this situation, that you go to one of the more vocal squatties crying and dare I say, presenting the victim card. That timing was impeccable. But again, she's on television. Everybody gets it. That happens to just about anybody on television to one degree or some degree or another. It happens. Um, and then the other trigger, Jack Royston. He triggers most people in the Sussex squad. He says things that are so manipulative, that are so outrageous. And as one of the squatties said, he's never too far from one of those Newsweek polls. As a matter of fact, if there's any poll, he's never too far away from it. He's always there to interpret the polls, to explain the polls. He referred to Meghan as having a thin skin. Well, as a white man in Britain, I doubt that he's ever been subject to global criticism from every two-bit media outlet, every wannabe vlogger or content creator. He's never suffered through that. He doesn't know what that feels like. In a what was it, 250 days? I think we went without seeing Meghan for about 250 days without a public appearance, if I remember that number. I think it was 250 days. And still, there was something to write about Meghan every day. Nobody writes about Jack Royston like that. Nobody ever has, and it's not likely they ever will. But yet, everybody has these criticisms about what Meghan has said and done, even though, um, if I can exaggerate, I think most people will have a better chance of running into Haley's comet than to see Meghan out somewhere. I mean, it just seems that way. Of course, that's not true, but sightings of Meghan since they left Narnia have been very rare. Even considering the month of September, sightings of Meghan has been very rare. Quotes, statements from Meghan, rare still, and yet there's always something to say. They create a fatigue surrounding Harry and Meghan and then blame them because they won't stop talking about them. The British media won't stop talking about them. I've had to tell people in my personal life, a friend that I've had since, gosh, I want to say the 1980s, stop blaming her and saying that she's overexposed is what he told me. I think she's overexposed. But that is the perception based on the tabloid media's attack. They have created a situation that does not exist any place but on the pages and on the monitors that they fill with nonsense. It's just not been that way. And if you're new to the squad, if you just have opened up your hearts and minds to hearing the other side of things, there has been long periods of time where Meghan had not been seen or heard from, as weird as that sounds, and to the point where we quietly were just like, well, I hope she's okay. And yet, every day, several times a day, some of the British media outlets had something to say about what she's doing, what she may do, what she's thinking, what sources say, how Hollywood feels. And this has been a constant. This has been a constant. And yet, they are blamed and considered to be overhyped, overexposed. Um, and all they have to do is nothing and get so much press for doing absolutely nothing, saying absolutely nothing. So let me take a look at a couple of your comments. She should have given more thought before jumping on the Meghan hate for cash train. Yeah, well, I'm not going to say that was exactly her intentions, but morning television is scripted. It is performance. It's performative. It is scripted. It's theater. It is not a real organic that is exchange. Lex says again, I hope that she looks at this as a teachable moment versus taking money from these institutions that are here to bash Meghan doing nothing. I hope that she becomes more empathetic. Legs, that's exactly what I was thinking earlier. Sometimes we fall down or we burn our hands, we cut ourselves because we need to learn a behavior. We need to adjust our behavior. So today, somebody put their foot in their mouth, and I'm pretty sure that on the other side of this, they're going to be a much better person. That is the whole point. Do better. That's it. Do better. Nothing else to add to it, but do better. Let me see. Baron, she is quick to cry. Imagine the abuse they had put Duchess through. They can dish it out. Oh, I did that. Let me go. I'm going the wrong direction here. Let me see. Why is she on a panel bashing the Duchess? Her appearance alone is a trigger. Well, is it Nissegate? I think they need to have a black person up there to. Is certain things that they need to have a black person say. And I don't care what your credentials are. If you forget about that, then, you know, I don't think your education is helping you. If your education, hasn't taught you everything you needed to know, including that they just need a black person to say that, then I say go back to school and get some more education or stop showing up at these things. It's just that simple. And also, let's talk about the big elephant in the room. The big elephant in the room, the what is it, the 400-pound, 800-pound gorilla. The thing that should not be overlooked is that by the time she made this appearance, Gavin Newsom had already selected someone for that Senate seat. And so it's as though they had primed and prepped for this over the weekend and could not wait to get to Monday morning television so that they could cash in on their efforts. It was already decided. She already had that information. The host already had that information. Jack Royston had that information, and yet they continued to throw Meghan's name around about something that is not likely to happen. And what gets me is that both journalists, or all journalists present, spoke with so much authority about the political situation in California as though that's where they all grew up. And certainly that's not the case. I don't think so. So, what do you know? What do you really know? What do you know for sure? Just as I said, there's a hierarchy to who gets what in California, just like any other state. And any governor that decides to try to do something like putting in a political amateur, a novice, or someone who has never expressed any interest in the seat or in the government, someone who has a full and complete life away from that, that is a position for someone who has that party loyalty, who's raised the money. So it was a ridiculous assumption in the first place, even before Gavin Newsom named someone. You go back and look at what I said yesterday. I said that exact same thing, is that there are people that are in a holding pattern. Gavin Newsom didn't decide yesterday, or should I say Friday, whenever um, Dianne Feinstein died. This is something that he's been working on forever. He and his staff have been working on this for a long time, realizing the advanced age and the illness of Dianne Feinstein. Um, the business of government still must go on. So there's no way in the world that he was blindsided. What? The lady that was confined to the wheelchair suffering from shingles, 90 years old? You mean to tell me she just passed away? Well, yes, yes. And as governor, a governor who lives in a state where there's flash floods, brush fires, earthquakes, flooding, you name it, then that is just one of those things that he would have to be prepared for. She wasn't a junior senator. She had been in there for 30 years. And it's just the fact that she was in poor health. He had already had a short list of people. And I could assure you that there was no place on that list for Rachel Meghan Markle. And so GB News and all the present on that panel just basically used Meghan's name for clicks, for their pay, for their salary. And they asked the dumbest questions that are so obviously nonsensical, but they asked some of the dumbest questions. I'd lose patience at how deliberately stupid they are. That's why I can't bother with those kind of shows, because they ask some of the dumbest questions. They make some of the silliest, stupidest statements about things that make absolutely no sense at all. None. And they just do it with so much authority, or they have that look of puzzle and concern in their eyes because they have to pretend as though they are actually learning and contributing in these conversations. But what's happening is they are indoctrinating, they are brainwashing, they are tuning you to follow, to question things that are so obvious that a child could figure it out, but they want to sow seeds of doubt. That is what they're there for. And that is how not only the British tabloid media, but all media, that is why they're so capable of shaping people's thoughts. And anyone who thinks that, oh, my thoughts are my own, oh, I almost said a cuss word, but bullpucky. It is not. We are all a product of the information that we take in. Some of us more, some of us less, but we're all a product of it. We're all subject to it. If you show me someone who is an independent thinking person that has come up with everything that they've ever subscribed to, I will show you either a fool or a liar. That's why you have to be careful about what you're taking in, because you can be influenced by these things. As a matter of fact, I'm going to play a soundbite from Trump, and you will hear, not right now, but you will hear him programming the public to react in the way that he has decided they should react. And if you don't buy into it, your anger and pushback is what triggers the people that have accepted the things he said as the truth. It works both ways. If you're against it, then you are equipped with the necessary trigger to cause that brainwashing to kick in. Oh, God help us with this media. And they don't teach critical thinking. They don't teach kids to decipher these things. They assign them to a tribe early on, and that is where you're supposed to remain for life. God, that's scary. Let's see. It's not the schooling. It's recognizing when your moral compass and dignity is being used to attack someone based on race, and that race is the shame of you. Thank you so much, TB. TB. Yeah, she should have kept her mouth shut. She really. And the sound bite that I wanted to play. Well, let me see what I have here. Let me see, because it part of it is there. I'm sorry, she would have been a gift to the Democrats. Meghan Markle might be out of the running for Congress this time, but would the Duchess make a good politician? Well, this is the one thing I wanted to show you. Wasn't even a minute long, but Good Morning Britain was using her words. They were using her words to solicit a reaction to the right wingers, if you will, to the Brexiteers, to the Tory-ish people. They were using her words, and I don't know it exactly, but it was him saying, Jack Royston saying that Meghan would have been a gift to the Republicans, and to raise money, to raise donations. And then she retort with the same thing that that and then of course it was a thing about Meghan and Donald Trump are both polarizing figures, that they are both decisive, not decisive, but oh man, I wish I could have, I wish I would have recorded that, but I did not. But if I can find the transcript, I will share it with you. But that is where she really got in trouble, was comparing Meghan to Donald Trump. That was stupid. That was careless. That was clumsy. No wonder you go crying into the phone saying that people are hurting your feelings. Oh, I couldn't believe it. It was a mess. It was a disaster. And she just should have kept her mouth shut. Not all money is good money. I mean, for why do I feel like I want to cuss so bad? For Frappuccino's sakes. But let me see. The one thing I heard today was if you have a title, you cannot run for office. Um, you can run. You can run. As a matter of fact, I think it's just a matter that your title will not be recognized. This is an area that we have never, as far as I know, we've never ever um, dealt with something like that. So it is almost too far fetched to even speculate, because it's not likely to ever be a thing where Meghan is concerned. And I believe if you have a title and you want American citizenship, I believe they expect you to renounce that title. I think so. I'm not even sure about that. But there are people that have titles in one country and live and work and own property in other countries. But very few of those people, if any, ever become a politician. So, there are people that are fifth in line to the throne, and there are people that are 205th in line to the throne, but still they are part of the extended family. And they may be in politics, they may be a mayor, they could be a lot of things, but according to where they're from, their titles are as mentioned, whatever those titles are. So I don't even know that it's a matter that you I don't think that there's anything that prohibits a person from running, but you're definitely not going to use it in that position, especially if you got sense. So we'll never know. We'll never know. And that's the problem, is that they have an opportunity to spin and spin and to, I guess, grift off of the Meghan the politician thing. They can get days out of that. I mean, this is getting more airtime than Thomas Markle Sr., and that's scary, because I would have thought that would have continued for a while. But apparently, whichever demographic that they're trying to reach with this impossible thing, it must be working. But then again, there was a lot of pushback on Good Morning Britain, and the video is gone. Not just the one that was about, what, 30 seconds long or whatever it was, where they were both saying a gift to the Republicans, a gift to the Democrats. That one was gone. But then the longer one, which was 3 something minutes long, that is gone. You can't even find it on their, you can't find it. It's gone. So don't even bother looking for it. They took it down. They didn't like the heat that they received. And it wasn't just the Sussex squad. There are people that would rather enjoy Good Morning Britain without having to deal with their obsession with Meghan and Harry. And they have said it in so many words. We don't want to hear about Meghan and Harry. And they keep pushing it. They literally pushed Thomas Markle on the British public. And the response was swift and loud. And then the next day, nothing. So this is just another one of those things where they were trying to abuse the Duchess of Sussex with their programming, and there was a huge backlash. And so for that reason, it's gone. You can't find it. It was wrong in so many ways. Marjorie says all of those nonsense are bullying and trying to dictate the narrative in how Meghan should live her life. Meghan don't need anyone, including those over the pond, to dictate her future. Amen to that. Amen to that. It's a calculation. It is just a calculation. And when I say that, it's as simple as this. Meghan hasn't put in the time, the effort, the fundraising, and all of the things that would be necessary. And Jack knows it. She knows it. Everybody knows it. But that did not stop them from entering into this ridiculous conversation. Gavin Newsom had named a successor to take the seat and then run for the office in their own right, which is what happens. They'll take the Dianne Feinstein seat. Dianne Feinstein said she wasn't running again anyway. And then at election time, you have to put someone in that is good for the party, that will be able to raise money for the party. Could you imagine how many people would say, well, she's rich. Why don't she pay for her campaign? Now, surely she would raise money, but the thing is, they would have been able to grift off of that to gain their clickbaits. It would have been the gift that just kept giving. They should hope that something like that would happen, but it's not going to happen. And so the next best thing is endless speculation, even after the appointment was made. That's the next best thing. That if you can't get something like that talked about, because that loop has been closed with the name of someone to fill that, well, then let's just say, oh, do you think that in the future, do you think she's ever? I mean, they were reduced to speculating about something that wasn't even available anymore. But I think that it was otherwise going to be a slow news day. And from what I'm to understand, I didn't watch the show. I only saw the 3 minutes, but they said that they dragged it out for nearly the entirety of the show before they finally got to it so that they could, keep people engaged enough to get the ad revenue until they finally got to the point. Let me see. All right. When I see dumb idiots, I got to read that one. If any of the dumb idiots from the UK are listening to this channel, let's get this straight. Madam Duchess Meghan is not and has never said that she was going into politics. Thank you, Beverly McCaskill. Period. See that when you see dumb idiot, you got to lean into it because it's probably something juicy. It's great that such women are confronted openly. Maybe her and Nana will learn a thing. I would hope so. I would hope so. It's a bad look. It really is, because in every society in the world, it seems like Black women are always getting the worst of it. It seems to be a national pastime in some places. It seems to be, given a small amount of consent here and there in other places. But it just seems like, especially in the Western world, the vilification of Black women is horrible. It's a horrible thing. It is a constant. And that you could have another Black woman facilitating this is particularly hurtful. That is particularly hurtful. You don't ever want to see another black person doing something like that to a black woman. And yet, there it was. And even though um, I believe that she tried to finesse her words, um, Jack Royston is just as slick as they come. That's why he's there. That's why he's there. The only person that I trust to go into these spaces is Dr. Shola. And there's probably a couple of other people that I'm not thinking of. But Dr. Shola is not going to let you dictate the terms of the conversation. You are not going to talk over her. You're not going to shout her down. You're not going to try to challenge her intellect. You're not going to mispronounce her name. That's why Dr. Shola was probably not even invited for this one if she would have wanted to come in the first place, knowing what their intentions are. But other than that, it's always frustrating to me that the ones that you hope can be your standard bearer, someone that you hope will can be your sword against the enemy, goes in there as weak as water, just as weak as can be. Don't don't engage properly, ill prepared, allow people to talk over them, and that is the impression that the enemy is going to take comfort in, is that the person that what you would assume was going to try to wage some type of defense, they were just as placid as a lake up in the mountains. Just no ripples, no movement, certainly not a tide, just clear water. You can see straight through it. And that is what they have to offer. And that is always frustrating to me. If you're going to go into this, please be prepared. Don't let them run you in circles, and certainly don't give aid and comfort to the enemy. So I don't know this person's personality. I don't know what she's like in other settings. I've never seen her or noticed her in any way. But that being said, I am very disappointed. Let me see. Oh, yeah, the comments were brutal. They were brutal. They were brutal. I mean, they dragged her up the street and down the street, across the street, up on the porch, down by the curb. They just dragged and dragged and dragged her. And it was nothing nice. It was nothing nice. Uh, yeah, Lavender, of course they would. Of course they would. They would love for Meghan to be out and about and visible and doing things every day if possible. Every day. Any setting or situation, the more the merrier. They would love that. They're hoping that Meghan is going to do some fundraising at election time or something like that. They're hoping for anything that can link Meghan to this upcoming election, because the Republicans will use it to raise funds. The British tabloid media will use it for clicks. Everybody is going to get something out of it that has been after Meghan for years. Everybody will get something out of it. And that is why they're hopeful. Anything to do with it. Just like when Meghan wrote that letter on behalf of women, the for the child care initiative, I believe it was. When she wrote that letter, they tried to make it political, and Meghan said, "No, it's a human rights issue. It is a humanitarian issue that the mothers have the opportunity to work or pursue a career so that the whole family can be elevated. That is so important. But that is not a political thing. That is something that they have mentioned in just about every country in the world, is to help women have careers. that when a woman's financial situation is better, it elevates the entire family. When you educate a girl, you educate the entire family. There's nothing political about that. That's just common sense. It's the tabloids that want to make it political. There's no politics there. And so the people in the legislative body of the government, as a citizen, we are all entitled to reach out for laws that will be enacted to improve the quality of life. And so, because Meghan is a U.S. citizen, first and foremost, she is a U.S. citizen and she is a mother. She has children, and she's entitled to ask, to encourage. She's entitled to do that. Meghan's always been a letter writer. That should not have to cease because of her choice in marriage. That should not have to cease. So the people who had the ability to lobby or canvass or solicit votes in Congress, she wrote to them. And that was very brave, knowing what the backlash is going to be. That was very brave, but it wasn't just about Meghan. It was about the kids. It was about the children. It's about the mothers, about the quality of life for families, healthcare, childcare, nutrition, all of those things, education. So this is a wide angle view of the setting. And there is Jack Royston all perched up and ready to go at it. That dead-eyed look that he has on his face is jarring. It is jarring, and I believe that that is one of the reasons why people were very upset. It's enough when you have that phony in the fuchsia there. Is enough when that other guy is there, but then when you throw in Jack Royston with someone like her who doesn't seem to be up to the task of speaking of, not for the Duchess of Sussex, not on behalf of the Duchess of Sussex, but even just speaking about her as a Black woman, it upset people. It was upsetting. The British media couldn't stand to let Harry's spare shine. They had to mention why Princess wasn't on the book tour with Harry. They are so nosy to stalk Meghan like Princess Diana. Yeah, she's not on the book tour. Why isn't she there in Singapore? Why didn't she go to Japan? Why didn't she go to the, the Whale Child? Why? And of course, now we need to have them direct that question to Will and Kate. How come she's not going to Singapore? There was that one, what was it? Was it after when the Queen died, she didn't go to Balmoral. And it was a luncheon that they had at the White House. I don't know what I'm going to say in the White House, at Buckingham Palace. There was another event that just that morning, even though Kate was mentioned in the invitation or schedule or whatever, she didn't go. And they let her off easy, childcare. But when it was Meghan going to Dusseldorf to be gone away from home for days, and then we find out it was longer still. But when that happened, then, of course, there was that usual double standard where we have to beg the question, how come Meghan isn't here? Meghan should be here. Meghan said she had two little ones that she had to tend to. That wasn't enough. All of a sudden, there was all of this vitriol on the social media and accusing her of using the kids for whatever reason. So, yeah. So this is why I tell you, depending on what my mood and my disposition is, when I feel like dragging, I'm just going to drag. I'm just going to drag. When I feel the need to drag, When I feel like I need to relieve whatever I'm feeling, I'm just going to drag. And that includes any member of that royal household that I feel is getting an easy ride, especially those who have, in my opinion, actively participated in this campaign of hate. Yeah, when I feel the urge to push back, that's just the way it is. That is just the way it is. Let's see. Audrey Teschner says, Morning, Royal Sussex and Squad family. Blessed and peaceful Tuesday to all, sending much love and respect to all. Thank you, Audrey Teschner. Long time no here. Thank you so much for being here. That really, really elevates my spirits. Thank you so much. Okay. So, this is the last one right here. She would have been a gift to the Democrats. Meghan Markle might be out of running for Congress this time, but would the Duchess make a good politician? Jack Royston, no, her skin is too thin. It was a very uncomfortable exchange. And then, of course, it wouldn't be the Sussex Squad if it wasn't a receipt attached to it. There's your receipt. Now, I'm not saying that, I'm not implying that this is any indication of one's character, but one's comfort level where you can, you know, be in that situation is something to consider. That's all I'll say, is something to consider. When you question a person's intention, what is that old saying? We are known by the company we keep. We are known by the company we keep. It can't be easy being on Loose Women, a woman of color on Loose Women. But what is her name? Brenda. Brenda has been in that situation, and she has to walk a fine line. Allison of This Morning, also, she has to walk a fine line. It is a lot of pressure, and I feel awful if you guys are assuming that I'm implying that they have to carry the weight of all Black women throughout history and in the future. Not exactly, but considering how vicious society has been to women of color, especially as of late, it has become a sport. It has become a sport. One should take that into the workplace. One should take that into social settings and understand why why your presence is necessary. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say about it. Let's see. Davari, is it Davari Tony? Thank you so much for the super sticker. And thank you for watching Royal Sussex. Happy Monday or Tuesday. This is what I get for starting late, is that I have to name 2 days. And you know what else is weird about this? Now in 15 minutes, it'll be midnight. So yesterday, it looks like I didn't have a live yesterday, although we all know I did. But when it goes after midnight, then it seemed like I skipped a day, which I certainly did not. But not that it's important, but I was just like, wow, looks like I didn't even work yesterday. All right, so thank you very much for the super chat. What a day! What a day! And then, of course, I know that there was a thing on Anne's channel, and that was very painful to look at. It seems like with all of the good news that we've had lately, that squatties have been turning on each other. And in Spaces today, I'm telling you, Spaces was I'm not even sure what it was, but it had to do with Good Morning Britain. And then later on, it was something else that happened that had nothing to do with Good Morning Britain. So, and it seems like every time, according to the people in Spaces, I'm not always there. And I think I may have spoken in Spaces for maybe the third or fourth time ever. But it seems like, as they say, the devil's been busy, or some outside influence has been trying to um, divide the Sussex squad. Well, we don't have a leader. We are. This is a very informal thing, and I myself had to block a couple of people on Twitter because they didn't like my post about William. And there was some covenant that I wasn't a part of. I thought we wasn't going to engage. Well, I didn't promise that. When William went to New York, I already knew that I was going to be hypercritical. I was going to be everything that the tabloid media has been in the other direction. I knew what I was going to do, and you all know what I. You knew what I was going to do. You know that I know that you know that I was going to be that person for New York City, and I was. And the thing is, the thing that I tweeted, um, okay, it was one of the first tweets that came out because I did it just before I went to bed. But by the time I woke up, everybody was on William's case, and I knew that was gonna happen. And I just want to make sure that it's fair. I want to make sure that I bring a certain level of balance to the world of hypercritical chatter. Uh, and I'm just a lowly content creator. I'm not BBC News. I'm not ITV. I'm none of those places. They Talk TV, GB News, they have an amazing reach. They are even in social media with their vitriol. And so I just feel better when I push back. That's it. And so someone went on my Twitter. Actually, it was a couple of them. And so I had to block them. I didn't even argue, I just blocked them. I've had people go in the comments here in the live chat because they want me to do Royal Sussex a different way. I don't know another way. I only know my way. I do the best that I can. I wasn't trained or educated in this. This is what I'm doing from the heart. And that was pretty much the theme. Aside from this, the other thing that was going on is just the way that we talk to each other. We can agree to disagree, but we don't have to be disagreeable when we do it. The tone is what concerns me. So, going forth, you guys, just if you don't agree with something, go to another channel. Just tune it out. How many times have I said I should not be the only voice you're listening to? I don't want to have that much authority. I don't want to take that responsibility. There's other people out there. When I really want to know something, I'm like, where's Petal? I hope Petal's coming on today because certain things I just can't work out. Petal usually has a way of explaining it. And I'm just like, there you go. So when I really need to work something out, I usually go to Petal. And how many times have I said, please go and subscribe to Petal. It's an embarrassment of riches. There's other places to go. So instead of being hostile, just try something else. Try something new. If your mental health is a struggle, then just tune out for a while. Come back when you're ready. But don't take it out on people, and don't take a tone like you're talking to your kids or something. But I noticed that some squatties do that. And anytime something start off with "Why are we?" Anytime to start off with "Why are we?" I'm like, oh God, here we go. Here we go. Why are we? Yep, that is a indication of where things are about to take a downward spiral. Why are we? I don't know why we are doing that, but I know what I'm doing. I know what I believe to be right. But yeah, that is always a strange thing. Why are we engaging? I thought it was my fifth grade teacher. Class, why are we engaging? I mean, my shoulders went up like Miss Seeley. I felt like Miss Seeley. Remember how Miss Seeley's shoulders would go up? That's how I was. My shoulders went up. I was just like, huh? Huh? And then I had to say to myself, wait a minute, baby boomer. You have had a few near death experiences. You've traveled the world. Just block them. Okay, blocked. Why are we? Next, you're gonna have me beating out the erasers or uh, collecting all of the textbooks or something. Oh man, what a weird day. Well, let me give you the wise words of Buddha. Before you speak, um, if your words will not improve, wait. Before you speak, consider if your words will improve the silence. There you go. Before you speak, consider if your words will improve the silence. That was a quote from Buddha. And that is what should have happened today. Before you speak, consider if your words will improve the silence. That's it. Sage advice, something that we could all use at any given time. Let's see. I get most of my early morning information about what is going on with the tabloids or on Twitter from Pure Team Sussex, since I am not on social media except YouTube. She does a great job. All right. Very cool. Very cool. Um, and you're right. If it's the channel that I'm thinking of, I used to catch her. I don't know why I haven't seen her in a while, but probably because there's more channels. But yeah, she goes through the Twitter, right? And she has gotten into it with YouTube because of her going through the Twitter, I think. So, you guys make sure that you give her support and encouragement because, yeah, there's not everything that we do is welcome in the world of social media. And so sometimes to share the information, we kind of put our necks out on the line to do it. And yeah, and you were very nice to mention that. So thank you for mentioning Pure Team Sussex. Okay, let's see, where are we? Tom Bauer doesn't understand royal titles. Only Harry and Meghan, I'm sorry, Her Majesty the Queen could have prevented the receipts of blood titles on her death when, okay, rescinding the royal titles, right? On her death, they were entitled to those titles just like Beatrice and Eugenie were in the 1980s. Tom Bauer is a grifter trying to ruin the monarchy. So this is, if you recognize that profile picture, this is not a squatty. This is someone who, I don't think that I've ever seen any hate or vitriol from her account, which is probably why I've never blocked her. But I blocked the name because I don't want to send anybody over there anyway. But she is a monarchist. She is an absolute monarchist to the point in which she will even disagree with some of the royal reporters. And when they use certain language, she doesn't always subscribe to it. And so in this instance, Tom Bauer was insinuating that Charles could have prevented those kids from having those titles. That is deceptive and disingenuous. When Queen Elizabeth took her last breath, and I cannot believe I'm saying this again, but here we go. When Queen Elizabeth took her last breath, Archie and Lily became prince and princess of the realm. Period. That's it. If the queen did not want that to happen, she would have had to have actively done something about it before she died. If Charles did not want that or doesn't want it to be, he will have to actively do something about it. It's nothing passive about it. That is the George V Convention. And again, I'm sorry to bring this up again, but it just goes to show that Tom Bauer is being provocative, is grifting by creating this hostile. And what bothers me about this involves the kids. These are children. I don't mess with the Cambridge kids. Never have, never will. Uh, I don't know anybody in the squad that has anything to say about those kids. And so, again, we're not getting the same consideration from the other side. We know how the British media treat the Sussex kids like they're inanimate objects, refer to them like they're commodities. That is not right. And here you have someone who is a royalist that is trying to correct this guy. So I'm going to give her credit for that. She's speaking the truth. But this will be repeated. This will be repeated by the derangers, by the haters. They are going to repeat what Tom Bauer says. It is not true. It's disingenuous. It's a lie. There is nothing that Charles could have done unless he had paperwork ready, unless he had the consent of the Parliament, which I believe it takes an act of the Parliament to do what this person is saying should have been done. It's a few signatures necessary to do that. It's something more than, oh, Charles just felt this way or felt that way. And of course, not that they wouldn't do it, but by doing so, it would be very risky for the royal family because they are not subsidizing Archie and Lily, right? They're not subsidizing Harry and Meghan. They're not doing anything to facilitate their lifestyle. Those titles are not doing anything for them at this moment. Archie and Lily are not trying to get a better seat at a restaurant. They're not trying to get a first class ticket on an oversold flight, right? They're not trying to find a good school using their titles. They're not doing any of that. Those titles mean nothing at this moment other than a very fine tradition that has been passed along in the Windsor household. And that's it. Nothing else. Enters Gargamel here, who wants to use those kids to bolster his position, to get booked on television shows, to be quoted, to find work. And that's all he's doing is he's stuffing his pockets using the Sussex kids. Where is the outrage? Judy Matasis says, Baron, did the Russians take down the royal website? I believe they took it down for a couple of hours. I believe they took it down, unless they've done it again. But yeah, they took it down for reasons of of for reasons of Uncle Louis, Louis Mountbatten reasons that take it down. They took it down for reasons of the Duke of York. That's why they took it down. They said that that was why they attacked it. It's because it belongs to people that seem to imply I guess, a passive condoning of certain behavior, and so uh, I know what I just said doesn't make nonsense or any sense or whatever, but um, nonce. Anyway, um, that is what they said is that they took it down for that reason. Okay, Monte Cristo says, Baron, if you recall Prince Harry. Oh, and by the way, Judy, thank you for the super chat. If you recall, Prince Harry used their titles before the website was changed. This confirms what you just stated. Archie and Lily were already prince and princess, respectively. Absolutely, absolutely, and that is why I I just watched. I watched all of this back and forth. Even what's her name? Lady C. Even Lady C, during a moment of clarity, had to admit that it was a fool's errand. She said, those titles have been put in abatement. Speaking of Harry and Meghan's titles, that they have been placed in an abatement. Well, they're not in an abatement. They just agreed not to use their titles for purposes of commerce or whatever. But other than that, they are free to use their titles. And of course, the HRH, they do not use the HRH. It has no relevance here in the US at this time. Unless they're doing something on behalf of the monarch, the HRH doesn't mean anything. But it has not been taken away. The titles haven't been taken away. The HRH hasn't been taken away. The only purpose that any of that serves is for people like Tom Bauer to get booked on these shows, to write columns, to maintain their presence as a royal author. That is the only purpose that it serves. Other than that, those words that he's saying are meaningless. And this particular monarchist is saying as much in that tweet. And do you know that when I went down that thread, they were saying things like, did someone hijack your account? Did someone hack your account? They couldn't believe that this person was saying this. And not only this, I found another tweet of theirs. And I promise you, that is not a squatty's account. This is just a royalist that is mature enough to speak truth about the way things work in terms of the titles and the what do you call it, the protocols and such. So this person is just telling the truth. They're not taking a side, they're telling the truth. And Tom Bauer, with that, you see, the thing is, and I'm going to move on from this topic because it's one that we've used a few times, and the Sussexes have moved on, so I'm going to move on from this subject. But if you take away someone's title, which is something they don't like to do, I don't know that it's ever been done, except for taking Princess Diana's HRH. I've never heard of it. Once you start that, then it's going to make it so much easier to take away the next and the next and the next. And believe me, there have been peers of the House of Lords that have done some horrendous things and kept their titles. It's just something that they don't mess with. So I wouldn't say it was a good idea no matter who's talking about it. It's just not a good idea, because if you do it for one, you're going to end up losing more, and it may go all the way to the top. They are resting in a very precarious way right now, the royal family, Charles III, William the whatever. They are in a very delicate position. Even though it seems like it's okay, it really isn't. It really isn't. I just saw another line for a food bank that stretched for, looks like, a mile, and that is a once a week occurrence. Okay, so let's continue here. So one by one, they're all falling down. They are all falling down. Um, let's see. Jobo's not on social media. Well, at least he's not on Twitter in his own name right now because of his mouth. Um, let me see. I guess there's only two of them that I think so far seems to be getting away with stuff. Just two of them. There's one that has threw himself down a flight of stairs or whatever he did. Um, the well, okay, maybe three, because the one with the tectonic plate on her head. Um, actually, two of them are wearing party hats, aren't they? But yeah, so one by one they're falling. Of course, there's others that are not mentioned here, but leave Meghan alone because the ancestors are watching. And then this one right here. Invictus is only credible is I'm sorry, is only credible thing left. Right. Right. And of course, this was on the heels of the month of September. So yeah. Yeah. The grift is almost over, you guys. I'm convinced that the grift is almost over. It is still going to be some that survive off of hating the Sussexes, but it's not making as much money as it used to. Not for the newspapers, not for the online people, not for any of them. It's not as profitable as it used to be. A lot of the profit has been taken out of it. 4 years ago today, Her Royal Highness graced University of Johannesburg with her presence, sparking vital discussions on gender equality and women's empowerment in higher education. The Duchess of Sussex and the ACU joined forces to launch gender grants for South Africa universities. Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex, joined the students and academics for a high level roundtable discussion convened by the Association of Commonwealth Universities. Oh, that's what ACU means. Hosted by the University of Johannesburg uh, and organized in partnership with the British Council on Gender Equality and Women's Empowerment in Higher Education on Tuesday, October the 1st, 2019, which means this happened, what, 4 years ago? 4 years ago. Addressing the roundtable, the Duchess of Sussex said, the goal here is to be able to have gender equality, to be able to support women working in research and higher education roles, and also to convene workshops that help people understand the importance of gender equality. She gets the bell for that. Go Duchess, go Duchess. So, if you all remember the Banana Republic double-breasted belted dress that she wore, I think that she was a little nervous about a wardrobe malfunction because it was a mite windy. Either that, or as you know, she was still carrying some of the pregnancy weight, and anyway, seemed a little bit unsure of the way it was fastened. But I tell you what, that little extra weight really filled her out nice. I don't know why I'm thinking about Pam Grier right now, but it really filled her out nicely. And of course, I have a video that goes along with that.
With the brown dress. I don't want this like
Look up, girl.
Tell this idiot.
Oh, she's really pretty, right?
Those are the recipients of the Queen Elizabeth Scholarship.
Wait, no.
They must.
One of them is at UJ. You probably dealt with them.
Oh, they're the recipients.
Yeah.
But how come
Those are
I'm graduating?
one of them is a student at UJ. That's students.
Guys
Yeah.
blocking the view. How
Yeah,
come
you know, it's too cool.
He's not aware he's blocking our view, hey?
We had the best view.
Look at how she gets into the car. Ah! You go through,
Oh my
you
goodness!
go through 8 weeks of training to get into the car like that. 8 weeks, people.
For that,
Just to get into the car. Again. Oh, there's Ilva. She just walked that way.
I want you to listen to that again. I'm going to start it from where I think it starts, where he says, look at how she gets into the car. Look at how she gets into the car.
we had the best view.
Look at how she gets into the car. Ah! You go through,
Oh my
8 weeks of training to get into the car like that.
He says you go through 8 weeks of training to get into the car like that. I love it. Look at how she gets into the car. Look at how she gets into the car. Ha! You go through 8 weeks of training to get into the car like that. All of those academics peering through the window to watch Meghan get into the car. I love it. So there she is waving goodbye to the people at the university. Wow, that was quite a scene. Check it out. Beautiful, right? And this is just a small portion of the big crowd of people that was there to greet her. So that was a great occasion. I'm going to have to go back and look for that because I don't think I've seen much of it except for when she arrived and when she left. So I need to go back and look at that entire royal tour. Let's see. Would you support a Senator Meghan Markle? Meghan Markle. Okay. Well, over here, the whole point of this is blue checks will now be getting paid for ad views in their replies. So that is the whole point of this, not to start that conversation again, but I wanted to share this with you. The blue check marks will now be getting paid for ad views in their replies. Going forward, treat all hot takes as bait. I repeat, treat all hot takes as bait. If you absolutely have to get in a dunk, don't quote. Take a screenshot, preferably just block them. Remember, by engaging, you're directly, that is, giving these people money. So that was a blue check mark account. And it was for someone that I was following. And I don't think that I ever really took a good measure of their account. But it seems like he has an account, and supposedly he has a brother that has an account. And between the two of them with their blue check marks, check this out. Payments right there. So let's see. Pro Biden had Twitter space with Musk. Something was that AIX or whatever. Ian Mile. Okay, so apparently this is the type of money that they're making with those blue check marks. This is the type of money that they're making. You can see right there, $24,305, $24,877. So that is the kind of money that they're making. And so when you're engaging with the blue check marks, you're helping them to make money. You're also allowing them to affect your mental health in some cases. You're perpetuating, I guess, gossip, innuendo, half truths, lies, whatever the case may be. You are helping to facilitate that by engaging with the people on the Twitter or the social media site formerly known as Twitter. So I rarely ever engage with people because I don't want to start the whole back and forth. It's exhausting. But this, you should know, is what's happening. There are people that make a hefty sum of money from their accounts on Twitter. Mary Seacole honored as first Jamaican British woman on Royal Mint coin. Leading equalities campaigner says a commemorative coin is not good enough and her image should appear on legal tender. In other words, I guess the currency, the pound notes. Yeah, the pound notes. But who is she? Who is she? A nurse. A nurse. Well, there's the coin. I think that's a beautiful representation, but some people say it's not enough. There's even a statue. Let me see. Where did I have that? Oh, right here. Right here. Let me see. The Mary Seacole Trust exists to educate and inform the public about the life, work, and achievements of Mary Seacole, the 19th century Jamaican born nurse who overcame racism and injustice to nurse soldiers during the Crimean War. As a result of a nationwide appeal supported by thousands of individuals, as well as the military and major corporations, a statue of Mary was unveiled at St. Thomas Hospital in London, opposite the Houses of Parliament in June of 2016. Our role is to maintain the statue for future generations, already a major London landmark. It ensures that Mary, a mixed race woman of Scottish and Jamaican descent, is never again lost to history as she was for over 100 years. In addition, our major project aimed to promote Mary as a role model for today's young people, encouraging them to follow her example of good citizenship, entrepreneurship, and achievement. We also aim to build on Mary's legacy to promote fairness and equality, including diverse leadership in private and public service. So apparently they want to use Mary to teach you how to be a good worker, how to be a good pawn in this chess game called society. Anyway, oh, I'm sorry about that. I did that again, didn't I? Hey, B10, I didn't know you were here. But yeah, so they're using her likeness and image and such. Still a really cool story about her, fighting for respect and such as a nurse of African descent. That was not an easy thing, but and I believe that when she offered to go to take care of the soldiers, if I'm correct, I think she had to pay her own way or something like that, or she had to try to raise the money. I forget how that story goes, but let's see here. Mary Jane Seacole, born November 23rd, 1805, and she died in May of 1881, was born in Jamaica to a Creole mother who ran a boarding house and a herbalist skilled as a doctress. Okay. And in 1990, Seco was posthumously awarded the Jamaican Order of Merit. And in 2004, she was voted the greatest Black Briton in the survey conducted in 2003 by the Black Heritage website Every Generation. Seco went to the Crimean War in 1855 with the plan of setting up the British Hotel as a mess table and comfortable quarters for sick and convalescent officers. Let's see. However, Chief Alexei Sawyer told her that officers did not need overnight accommodations, so she made it instead a restaurant, bar, and catering service. It proved to be very popular, that is, and she and her business partner, a relative of her late husband, did well on it until the end of the war. Her fine memoir, Adventure of Mrs. Seco, in Many Lands, 1857, include 3 chapters of food she served and the encounters she had with officers, and some of them high-ranking, including the commander of the Turkish forces. Very impressive. Anyway, do go and read more about her. She has a pretty interesting biography. And okay. Lit for Sussex. Hello, thank you so much for being here. Now, it is Black History Month in the United Kingdom. So the month of October, once again, it is the Black History Month in Britain. Take a look here. This is Britain is the best country to be Black in, says Kimmy Badnock, as she argues the country sees people, not labels, in a rousing speech on race, gender, and Brexit. That's right. She said it, and she's just the kind of person that they need to hear it from. Britain is the best country in the world to be Black, Kimmy Badnock told the Tory Party conference yesterday. The business secretary used a tub thumping speech. That's a new one. I never heard that before. But she used a tub thumping speech to blast Labour over its woke views and for using Brexit to repeatedly talk down Britain. She lashed out over trans rights, Remainer defeatism, and the piece of reaching green target. So, in other words, there is no global warming. Don't talk about Brexit because you're being defeatist. Brexit was a success, I suppose. And of course, everybody seems to have something to say about trans rights. So that is what she received the thunderous applause for. And of course, I'm looking. All right. I don't see any other Black people there. I'm sure they're there. I mean, she's there, right? Anyway, happy Black History Month. Happy Black History Month. Just what was needed. Now, remember, this comes on the heels of a report. They took a poll. Almost half of young Black Britons plan to migrate amid racism concerns, landmark study highlights. More than 10,000 Black British people were surveyed for research led by The Voice newspaper, Britain's longest-running Black publication. Almost half of young Black British people plan to leave the country amid a wider concern of societal racism. Landmark research launched on the eve of Black History Month has revealed. So that speech was almost custom made to counter that study. So yeah, anyway, we talked about this a couple of days ago. Um, it is in the article is in the I just said it, didn't I? Well, it's in the Voice newspaper, but Nadine White writes for the Independent. I believe it's the Independent. So that's where this article comes from. It's from the Independent. It also coincides with William's trip to Cardiff, where he's going to do yet another version of his I Had a Scheme speech. So all of this is perfectly timed. Expect to see William dressed up in some type of Afrocentric attire by the end of the month. I'm sure it's coming. After all, this is the one who had that highly successful trip to the Caribbean, where he lost nearly half of the Commonwealth. What is it he can't do, I ask? Now, I thought I was dreaming when I saw this photo, and then I said, no, that's got to be AI. Nope, that's not AI. That wasn't a dream. That was Donald John Trump in a court of law. Finally. They brought a camera in for a short period, so they're not going to show the whole trial, but just to satisfy public curiosity. And look at that face. Oh my goodness. Talk about the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. That is the agony of defeat if I've ever seen it, courtesy of Letitia James. Watch the look on Letitia James as she stares down in court. Letitia James sat to the rear and to the other side of Donald Trump, like maybe 3 rows back, and she is unbothered. She is unmoved. She is not having it. She is the prosecutor. And there you can see Democratic New York Attorney General Letitia James stared down former President Donald Trump in court Monday. Cameras were briefly allowed in the New York Supreme Court on Monday as Trump sat front and center alongside his attorney, Alina Habba, and others. James was seen sitting several rows behind Trump on the other side of the room, seemingly not breaking her stare at the former at the former president. Now take a look at that top photo. Look all the way back there. You see the woman with the white top and the black jacket on, the black blazer? That's Letitia James. And I'm going to call that serving notice, because the former president has had some pretty negative and nasty things to say, making some gross accusations about the merit of the case, about the validity of the charges, and of course, making horrendous accusations about the attorney general for the state of New York. Now, the thing about New York being a financial capital of the world, it is one of the world's financial capitals. You know how they used to say Tokyo, um, um, London, New York, right? And so, being a financial capital, when there are crimes committed that affect the great state of New York, then the Attorney General of New York has the right to bring charges, to build a case. And this is not a federal charge. This is the state of New York. He also has something with the state of Georgia. He has something with the federal government. So he is like he can spend the next couple of years in court. And if he wins public office again, he might be able to make the case that he is unable to deal with these things and that it would disrupt his ability to execute his duties, God help us, as president of the United States. Now, to be eligible to be president, you have to be American born or born in a territory controlled by the United States. You have to be 35 years of age. That's it. American born, 35 years of age. Now, in order to avoid being impeached, you have to make sure that you don't violate anything that would cause you to have been convicted of a high charge or misdemeanor. You know what I mean? Misdemeanor. So, essentially, you can have a record and still run for president. That's not a problem. But if you violate the law as president, then they can impeach you. Doesn't mean that you're removed from office. It just means you're impeached. Now, if both houses of Congress, the House of Representatives and the senators, agree that you are impeached, then you can be removed from office. But if only one house votes for it and the other doesn't, you'll probably survive it. A little tainted, worse for wear. You'll probably have that look on your face, but you'll still be president. Oh, so people, by the way, people were upset because the judge seemed to be a bit of a character. There he is, smiling and grinning from ear to ear. And then even outside, Letitia James could barely contain herself, and she seems to be a bit amused about something. Well, when you're dealing with a clown, you're supposed to laugh, right? Clowns are funny. Now, I have a soundbite for you, and let me just say he went there. Okay, he went there. Oh, there we go.
You know, it's a big deal. My financial statement are much lower than the actual net worth. This judge and your fake attorney general of New York, who's driving business out, who's letting murderers run all over the city. They don't do anything to murderers that are running all over the city. The attorney general is a racist, Letitia James. You know, it's a big deal. My financial statements are much lower than the actual net worth. This judge and your fake attorney general of New York, who's driving business out, who's letting murderers run all over the city. They don't do anything to murderers that are running all over the city. The attorney general is a racist, Letitia James. You know, it's a big deal. My financial statements are much lower than the actual net worth. This judge and you.
So, when you're accustomed to privilege, equality feels like oppression. Write that down. I repeat, when you're accustomed to privilege, equality feels like oppression. And that is what Donald Trump is suffering right now. He is so accustomed to the privilege of being a wealthy white man who has always had his family's fortune to call upon. He is feeling quite privileged. He has been privileged. And so, because of his privilege, now that he's actually being subject to the law, they say equal protection under the law. Well, since I am, as an American, I'm being protected from people like Donald Trump, who allegedly committed fraud against the state of New York, which of course is a huge financial engine here in the United States. New York, California, most of the blue states are the ones that provide a great deal of the tax revenue that keeps this country going, right? Because of the big corporations, because of the huge populations, that is what helps the world go around for Americans. And so if Donald Trump is cheating the state of New York, well, then he's costing us money. And I am being protected from someone like a Donald Trump via the law. So thank you, Letitia James. And like I said, clowns are funny. Whether they are dressed up to play in a role in a movie like The Wizard of Oz, or whether they can cast him as the Joker in Batman, clowns are funny. So there you go. And lastly today, 1 out of 3 Trump supporters are just dumb, as the other 2 1 out of 3 Trump supporters are as dumb as the other 2. And thank you very much. That is our last word of the day. If you are a Trump supporter, as one of the people in the early days of Royal Sussex warned me, oh, please don't talk about Donald Trump, such and such and so, and this and that, and this and that. I can't make no promises. This was someone from the Patreon. I can't make no promises. I call them like I see them. So thank you for watching Royal Sussex. Try another channel. All right. Thank you, everyone. Love you guys. I will see you all tomorrow. And probably same time. I'm kind of liking this later hour. It gives me, it's more the talk about, I think. It's more relaxed. I kind of like it. I'm getting used to it. I thought I wanted to do something earlier, and it's a good thing too, because it's kind of crowded earlier in the day for me. So this kind of spaces things out, I think. Dansby, you're welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Ebony Unicorn, thank you. Sussex Team Warrior, thanks. Thank you, Lydia Washington. S. Helen. Yeah. Oh, you guys, it has been a heck of a day. It really has. I felt bad that the squatties were going at each other. And as for, other content creators, people have a right to take their channels in the direction that they're comfortable with, the direction they see fit. The channels is not about growing in terms of numbers, but you also have to grow in the way that the channel functions, the way it operates. You have to grow in terms of your content. So it's only fair to make room for people to grow their channels in the way that they see fit, because sometimes, when I want to talk about a subject and I look at the chat and I see someone say, why are we? Well, you don't know where I'm going if you don't wait for me to get there. You know what I'm saying? It takes a little bit of trust, I know, but you gotta, trust me to make my point. And I was running into that with the calls. I loved having the calls, but depending on what's going on, there were some people that seemed to be really worked up and huffing and puffing about a topic. And I don't usually get that worked up myself. And then to have to try to fit into someone else's feelings like that was just a little bit too much for me, because sometimes you try to have a conversation and instead there is no conversation. They just have to get out what they have to get out. So if you have a smart device, if you have a phone, if you have a tablet, if you have a computer, you have a platform, feel free to start a channel of your own. It don't have to be perfect. I'm evidence of that. Royal Sussex is not perfect, but Royal Sussex cares, right? And if you cannot be perfect, at the very least, you have to make sure that you care, because if not, you're just wasting everybody's time. So throw your hat in there. Start a channel of your own. It's just fun to do it as a hobby. And then you can say all of that stuff that you want someone else to say in the way that you want them to say it, to be fair. You can do all of that yourself. And trust me, there is an audience out there for everybody. There's an audience for everyone. So don't be scared. Just do it. Just do it. Okay. Yeah, that's true. You can't predict what a caller will say, but you get the blame. Yeah, that too. That too. That's the other thing, is that Robert Collins from Rome, as I live and breathe. I don't believe it. Hi, Baron and fellow squatties, joining in from Rome on the replay with morning coffee. Robert, where have you been? Or can I say it like Laura Petrie? I can never say Robert without thinking Laura Petrie. Wait, it's been a while since I've done my Mary Tyler Moore impersonation. Okay, ready? No, I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm a little rusty on that one. I'll do it next time. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, right, Dansby. Yeah. Anne has to handle her channel the way she sees fit, and it's only fair to either make the adjustment or start a channel of your own, or just be patient and trust. That's what I would say, is that if you trusted a content creator for a period of time, then just try to keep that trust and don't assume the worst. Try not to assume the worst. Myra, no, it's been a while. I had to practice on my own first, because I used to love the Dick Van Dyke Show. And then, of course, she did the same thing on the Mary Tyler Moore Show. Okay. Oh yeah, thank you, Beverly McCaskill. That makes a lot of sense. All right, so I think, what am I forgetting? I don't know what I'm forgetting, but it'll come to me later. But yeah, I'm not going to stay on. What was on 3.5 hours last time? Not going to stay on for 3.5 hours. That's for shizzle, as Snoop Dogg would say. That is for shizzle. Huh. Okay. Well, they pretend to love black people while they punish Harry for loving a black woman. I can hear Harry singing, "If loving you is wrong, I don't want to be right." Sing it, baby. If loving you is wrong, I don't want to be right. That's a good song. I don't want to be right. Hmm. Oh, nah, I don't feel like a Europe story tonight. Although they always say there's always room for Jello, but yeah, I don't feel like a Europe story tonight. Yeah, it's been a long day. Yeah, yeah. Attacking one another, that is not a good sign. That is not a good sign. It is what the enemy wants. Oh, Yellow Rose Tea, what's going on? Good night, Beverly McCaskill. Thank you for being here. Right. Well, in that case, good night to everyone. And good night to our queens. And good night, Sussex squad, squaddies everywhere. Cue the Ginger Avenger. Wow, I'm kind of sleepy too. So I guess I will go to bed. I'm going to try to go to bed early tonight. I'm not going to be up all night listening to spaces, that's for sure. Not like I was last night. Even though I must admit it got a bit juicy here and there, but a whiff of scandal can be interesting, but too much of it is not a good thing, especially grown folks fighting over or arguing over stuff about people we don't know and probably never met. That should always be remembered. People you don't know and never met. Yes, love wins. Thank you. All right, cue the Ginger Avenger. See y'all tomorrow. Love you. Oh, and thank you everyone for your very generous contribution, and thank you moderators for keeping this a safe space. Okay. That energy